All right, thank you so much for staying with Daybreak. Let's get into your feedback, see what you're saying about the BBI, the road ahead. This is what you're saying. Makayake says one unintended consequence of BBI will be a rogue parliament. Any true combination of regions coming from strength of newly formed constituencies is big trouble with tyranny of numbers. Okay? Mude Dominic says, I'm yet to see the magic that's minimizing taxation for the youth for 7 years will cause in raising revenue for the country. I am a youth, but truth be told, there will be a painful sting as the government must try to meet its collection target. Engineer Richard Keino says, Kenya is heading the Venezuela way. Instead of the leadership working on how to pull us out of the muddy financial and economic environment we are in, they are busy telling us that a document that will overburden us and eat into our already impoverished. All right. Aulo Willis says, when Baba said we are heading to Super Tuesday, I started preparing my voter identification documents for the referendum. Your discerning ability is unmatched, okay? Esigo Tieno says, at the end of it, BBI will be subjected to a referendum where we, the voters, will either vote yes or no. And we have Kibet here, C. Kibet, Sydney, says we just need to do simple math of how much revenue is collected, plus how much we spend on recurrent expenditure, plus how much we send to the counties, plus loan repayment. That should tell us whether there is light where we are going. It is closed for me. Robert Mithika, I'll start with you. So now that we are here, how is this likely to impact on 2022? The BBI has been passed in the counties. It is heading to the referendum. Is it going to have an impact, including on who becomes the president?
I don't think the results or the outcome of the BBI process has any direction or any bearing in determining who the president will be in the 2022 elections, or easily predict the results of the outcome. Because from where I see it, you see the BBI may end up like almost being uncontested. Uncontested in the sense that you will not find a group of yes versus no. And my mind has all through told me why this other team, the handshakers, have been so passionate in trying to create a divide, is because they've all through wanted to use that opportunity to create a momentum or to create some drive within the people so that there appears to be a contest for purposes of building towards an election, bearing in mind it's only 16 months. And now that nobody is willing to engage in any contest, you know, the whole thing, that motion now is not likely to be achieved. So in whatever way people vote, whether it passes or not, I think people have to retreat now and consider the opportunities that will be either with the passage of the BBI or without. And then that is how people will start organizing their politics towards addressing the issues that face Kenya in the 2022, or how they will start framing their issues that will entice them or that will make them will create some bit of appeal in their formations as people who will be voting in 2022. So whichever way, I don't think BBI has any ability to force or create a momentum to propel anybody, just like those other momentum, the last two referendums did.
Okay. Changonya, as we wind up on this, what will be the impact on the civil society and also 2022?
Yeah, well, Trevor, it is important to observe that the 2022 general election in this country will be a transitional election, like in 2002 and in 2013. We're having a retiring president, and we're having, you know, new contestants, you know, coming to seek a position of leadership. And of course, it will also be an opportunity to analyze at the county level in terms of transitions. We will have also quite a number of governors who will be serving their last term, and there will also be transitions at that level. There will also be transitions because of IBC, because of the tenure of the commissioners that we have at the IBC, and the electoral reforms that have been put in place, because there have been conversations, right from the post-2017 general elections, including the question of the Leadership and the Integrity Act. And of course, BBI also talks about that. Whether we have BBI or not, that's still a thorny issue in this country, because we ask ourselves, why do we end up with such certain caliber of leaders in Parliament, or let's say in the County Assembly? And there's been a lot of discussions around how do we ensure that we get people of integrity, other than reducing, acquisition of papers from government institutions such as the ESCC, the HELP, the DCI, and all these other institutions where you get your clearance from them, and that makes you now eligible to say that you are a person of integrity. Which for me, I think moving forward, it will also be a very issue that will be very sensitive moving forward towards the next year campaigns. The Campaigns and Finance Act, which has always been postponed from previous elections, I think it will be coming now to life when we are heading towards the next general elections, and we will be seeing, or now these will be capped, where inducement in terms of use of bribery and all this. Then there's the question, even as we talk of the anticipated referendum, the question of the new voters, in this country. From 2013, how many Kenyans post 2013, 4 years down the line, have now qualified to become voters? Are we going to lock them to participate in a referendum, or let's say in the upcoming general elections? There will be a serious exercise of voter registration in this country that needs now to be engaged. And of course, from a civil society point of view, we will be monitoring and observing these processes to ensure that there is legitimacy, there is no manipulation, there is no, the systems that are going to be used, or the programs that are going to be used are programs that are pro-citizenry, something that are worth. And of course, issues around procurement have always been a major issue around electioneering in this country. So we'll also be observing and monitoring on government procurement, policies in terms of its implementation and the allocation of resources. And of course, I'm happy that our parliamentarians here are the ones who will be playing a critical role in terms of approving. Will they delay these approvals of resources, let's say, to the bodies that are mandated to ensure that Kenyans get services, or they will comply, and move fast to ensure that all this is? But of course, there is the last one. This question of boundary delimitation. And I would be asking our Honorable Maore, because we will get the opportunity. How long is this going to take us? Because when you look at the previous exercises in this country, it's been a prolonging exercise. That I have even a worry that the calendar of the 2022 general elections as provided for in the Constitution, which is the second Tuesday of every 5th year in this country, we conduct a general election. So will the calendar still remain the same, or it's going to be influenced by all these outcome of the BBI?
Okay. What about it? I'll give you the final word on this.
Yes, very quickly, what happens with the boundary delimitation, if you were to give the IEBC a chance to do the boundary themselves, they would take an indefinite time or a long time like that Nani is talking about. But when we have gone and put it on a referendum to ask people to allow this document to go through, and when they do, there are specific areas which are going to be delimited. If you go to Meru County, for example, you are not going to guess which part of Meru you are going to give the constituency. It will be Egembe Central and the South Imenti. Those are the constituencies with over 200,000, and they have this benefit of having extra constituencies in Meru County. So when you go to the rest of the country, it will be a very short time, because it is known. You can take even 90 days if you so wish. But before, when you want to go and ask people views all over the country, it will take a year. So this one will take very short time. The law requires you to do it more than a year before. But specifically this time, we are going to have a shorter time, because already it is told, you are told in the document, of this referendum document, which constituencies we are going to do. Very quickly, the other issue of the procurements he is talking about in government and the corruption. This is the only document which gives you time limits when you initiate the proceedings on corruption cases. Some of them take indefinite period of time. Others they don't even take off. Today, if you write it to EACC, they can play around with your document or even keep quiet with it forever. They may not destroy it, but they will never act on it. But this one requires them to have a minimum of 2 years. Or maximum of 2 years. You cannot initiate a corruption case and then let it hang on. So you remember, like Kimorera is talking about, we began on it early 2019. In 2019 at the beginning. To date, it has not taken off. In the Constitution, they are requiring you as a system or as a government, as a judiciary. When the DPP initiates prosecution for a case on corruption, he has to conclude it in 2 years. So there is an opening for us as a country to support this document.
All right. Thank you so much for making time. I still have a bit of feedback. Let me read that before we close. Fernandez Fleet says, tell Linturi there is no bad blood, just that his camp has tirelessly tried to link 2022 elections to it, and that, of course, will cause divisions. Frank Seme says, the proposed constitutional change has nothing much to do with the masses. It's a knee-jerk fix, as temporarily felt by the demagogic people who are pushing that idea. Collins Kipchirchir says, let truth be told, 90% of people have not even read it. If this thing is good, why bribe the MCAs? Why coerce them to pass the document? John Willis Juma says, tell us the advantage and disadvantages of having new constituencies, not only the disadvantage. There must be an advantage. And there's also, we have Aldrin Oumoduor says, if Mithika believes it will be passed by minority, what's stopping him from mobilizing the majority to reject the BBI? Jenga Kungu Paul says, the document is very popular on the ground. As a community leader, I can confirm that. Ruto's side shouldn't be lied to by the huge following in their meetings. Mwananchi has now become objective on matters affecting them. MCAs passed the bill as per public participation. All right, and the last one here from Mark Oseno says, a time has come for leaders to shun divisive mouthing about the BBI and concentrate on public information. We have done politics enough. There is more challenges facing Kenyans currently. Educate us about the BBI. Thank you so much for making time. Honorable Maoka Maore, Majority Deputy Whip, National Assembly. Honorable Mithika Linturi, Senator Meru, and Joshua Changwon, CEO, Constitution and Reform Education Consortium. That's CRECO. Thank you so much for making time this morning. We're taking a quick break here. When we come back, Willis Raburu Bazu is here with the latest in the workout session. All right, bye for now.